200 were arrested as Block Everything protests erupted across France on Wednesday as demonstrators blocked roads, set fires, and clashed with the police, just one day after President Emmanuel Macron appointed a new Prime Minister. According to the Associated Press, the unrest appears to be a coordinated effort to pressure the government following the collapse of Prime Minister François Bayrou's administration earlier this week. The protests were organized under the banner Bloquons, or Block Everything, a movement that gained traction over the summer through social media and encrypted platforms, reportedly. Despite failing to completely paralyze the country as intended, the demonstrations caused significant disruption in several cities. Interestingly enough, it was initially thought to be a right-leaning movement, but now has been taken over by left and far-left-leaning groups. The French Interior Ministry confirmed nearly 200 arrests in the early hours of the nationwide protest. Interior Minister Bruno Retailleau told AP, news agency AP, that a bus had been set alight in Rennes and that damage to a power line in southwest has disrupted train services. Retailleau accused protesters of trying to create a climate of insurrection. In Paris, groups of protesters attempted to block the city's ring road during the busy morning commute. According to AP, demonstrators hurled projectiles at officers, erected barricades, and slowed down traffic. Police responded with tear gas and made swift arrests, reportedly supported by a massive deployment of 80,000 security personnel across the country. Though smaller in scale than previous waves of unrest during Macron's presidency, the demonstrations revived memories of the Yellow Vest protest that marked his first term. Those protests, which began as opposition to fuel tax hikes, quickly broadened into nationwide anger over inequality and government policy. The Block Everything campaign has similarly broad demands, many centered on public anger towards austerity measures proposed by Bayrou's government before its collapse. News agency AP noted that the movement does not have a clear leadership structure, making it harder to control, contain, or even negotiate. Sébastien Lecornu, appointed by President Macron on Tuesday as the new Prime Minister, now faces an immediate political and public challenge. The unrest comes at a time of renewed instability for Macron's administration following multiple waves of public discontent in recent years, including protests over pension reform and widespread riots in 2023 after a fatal police shooting of a teenager near Paris. President Macron has yet to issue a public response to the latest protests, but this is just a continuing in a long line of protests that has ended up, in fact, toppling governments across the globe, from Bangladesh, actually starting with Sri Lanka over 2 years ago, then Bangladesh and Nepal, all of which saw huge protests driven by the public. They were neither right-leaning nor left-leaning particularly, but they were just anti-government policy protests in general if we look at the larger picture. And now France is facing the same.